Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel, where today I'm gonna be covering the topic of street signs. You know, I already showed you how to make roads and sidewalks, but there's one thing missing to make them a lot more immersive, and that is street signs. And as always, everything that's used in this tutorial can be downloaded 100% for free. If you need one street sign for your project, there's a high chance that you actually need multiple. So we're gonna make everything as reusable as possible. If, however, you actually happen to only need one street sign, you can still apply the technique to a singular street sign. But I'm gonna create a blueprint class for my street signs. By the way, everything you see in this scene was created using my 3 previous tutorials. So everything from the roads, to the sidewalks, to the mountains, you can just watch my previous tutorials and you will know exactly how to make them. But let's not waste any more time and get straight into creating street signs. So the way we're gonna create a street signs is we're gonna create a street sign class in Blueprint, where we can then custom every single instance of that class by just changing the texture of the street sign. So the first thing we need for a street sign blueprint is a cylinder that we can use as a pole. And we're just gonna go to modeling, cylinder, and as you can see I already have like the rough values you need. It should be around 7 for the radius and 500 for the height. This way you get a nice pole like this, and you just place it here. So the next thing you want to do is you want to assign a material to that pole, and I've linked a free metal material in the description that you'll also need for the street signs. So I would recommend just downloading it now and creating a material with it, and then we can move on. Let's search for metal. Wait, no, I actually named this different. Yeah, pole material, and as you can see, we don't even have to do a lot of UV work because it's more or less perfect, the textures. It looks pretty good if you ask me. Alright, so we've got our pole. We're gonna browse to our pole in the content browser, and we're gonna just rename it so we don't confuse it, and we're gonna call it pole. Yeah, that's enough. It's the only pole. And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna go in there first of all, and we're gonna make sure that the texture is also set to the pole texture, because right there I only set it for the singular instance of this mesh, but we want all meshes to have this texture. Okay, we're gonna hit save, gonna close this, and we're gonna go to this pole, right click, and then go to, wait, where is it? Asset actions, and create blueprint using this. Then we need a place to save our blueprint to. We're gonna do it in our street signs folder. I made this folder for the street signs. I recommend you do the same to keep everything organized. And we're gonna call this BP underscore street sign. And I'm gonna call it 1 because I already created one. I'm gonna create a new one for the tutorial. So we're gonna hit save. It's gonna load a bit. Alright, we've got it open in the blueprint editor, and what we're gonna do now is we're gonna add a plane to our pole, and we're gonna rotate it by 90 degrees like that. Then we're gonna drag it up. Make sure this is 0. We want to have it right in the middle. Yeah. Take it here. Yeah, like that. Maybe. Yeah. All right. So we have our plane. This already looks somewhat like a street sign. Maybe we should make this a little bit bigger. No, I think 1.2 should be pretty good. Yeah. Okay, so now this already looks somewhat like a street sign, but we still have the problem that in the back it's transparent. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna copy this plane and we're gonna rotate it by 180 degrees. So now we have texture on both sides. And we can also make a different texture for one side and a different texture for the other side. So we're gonna compile this real quick and it's good to go. So yeah, that's it. We have our blueprint ready. Okay, so now we have our blueprint ready, but we still need some textures for our street signs. And you might be asking yourself, where do I get good PNG images of street signs? Because it's very important that they have to be PNG. And luckily, the German Traffic Council actually has a website where you can download almost any street sign as a PNG. The only problem with these images is that for example, the speed regulations, they only have like 60 and the 30 zone. So you might have to customize them in an image editor of your choice. So I have imported some of these street signs already for the tutorial, and I've also made some example materials. And you can also see, wait, if I go here, for example, this is how it should look at the end. To keep everything organized, we're gonna create a material function that basically takes just the PNG image and turns that into a street sign material. This way we can apply detailed textures to make the material more interesting, but we still have the opportunity to make changes that affect all the street signs at once. So let's create a material function, and we're gonna call this mf_streetsigns and 2, so we don't confuse it with my original one. We're gonna go in here, and we already have our output result, but we need a function input at first. And you can find this here, function input. And the standard is it's gonna be a vector 3, but because we're working with a PNG image that doesn't only have RGB but also an alpha channel, we're gonna use a vector 4. We're gonna then look for break, and then we're gonna go to breakout float 4 components. So a float 4 is basically the same thing as a vector 4. And what this does is, we can plug this in here, and then we get our channels, RGBA. So we're gonna look for a make material attributes node, and we're gonna look for an append node. So we're gonna append R and G first. What this does basically is it turns like the single values we get here, because we broke the vector, and returning these single values into vector 3 again. So again, we have to look for append, then we put that in B and this one in A. So after these two append nodes, we will have our RGB that we can plug into base color. And we also still have alpha. And this alpha we're gonna plug into the opacity mask. So we're gonna tell the program wherever the PNG image is transparent, it's also gonna be rendered as transparent. So now we already have our masks automated, but we still want to make the street signs feel a little bit more immersive. So we're gonna add some details to the material, and I'm just gonna use the same textures I used for my pole material, and I'm gonna use the normal map, and I'm also gonna use the roughness. So we're gonna plug in the normal map into the normal, then we take the roughness and we actually put it into roughness but also into metallic. I know we have an own metallic texture, but I just felt like this gave me the best results. but because this is material function that you can reuse in all the street sign materials, you can change this at any time to make it how you like. And that's the great thing about material functions, really. Alright, so this already looks pretty good. You can see, you can switch this to plain. This already looks pretty interesting. So we're gonna save this, and we are now gonna create a new material for our first street sign. Okay, so now we created our first street sign material, and I recommend using this naming structure. So have the first number reference the shape of the street sign, because we have multiple shapes, as you can see, and the second number is gonna be like you know, the second street sign of that shape. You will understand later why this is important. So we're gonna go in here, and first of all we're gonna add our let's open this right there. We're gonna add our material function. Just drag it in here, and we're gonna do break material attributes, plug this in here, connect the base color to base color, metallic to metallic, roughness to roughness, normal to normal, and opacity mask to opacity mask. And as you can see, right now this doesn't work because the blend mode of the material is still set to opaque, and you're gonna make this masked. So this time, now it becomes available, and now everything can be connected. So the only thing that's missing is the input, so we need a street sign texture. So I'm just gonna start with let's say this one, and we need our vector 4 at the end, which is RGBA, and we're gonna plug this in here. It's gonna compile a little bit, and as you can see, this already does its work. So if we put this to plain, we can see we have a street sign, and we even have a lot of detail because of the metallic textures that we used in the material function. And yeah, so now that we have our street sign function and it works just as intended, we can now copy this, and it's automatically gonna be named street sign 1, 2, which is very nice because, as I said, the first numbers should reference the shape. And we can go in here and, for example, we can just take this, change the texture to, let's say, this, for example, and as you can see, it looks very nice, and it has also the details. So now if we go into our blueprint and we, let's say, we assign this texture, we say like street sign, this, for example, we still have the problem that on the back it looks like this. And the way we're gonna fix this is we're gonna, okay, so for our backside texture, we're gonna create a new material function, and we're gonna call it mf_back. Now we can go in here, and first of all, you're gonna set an input. Oh wait, that's the wrong. You're gonna look for function input again, and this time we only need the scalar because we only need the alpha value in this case. Everything else we're gonna do inside this function. So we're gonna make material attributes node real quick, and we're already gonna put this into the opacity mask. So we got that already, and now we need the rest of the textures for the backside, and I'm just gonna use the same textures I used for the pole. I'm gonna use it, make it a little bit different, so it's a little bit more matte, so I'm only gonna use the metalness, the color, and the normal map. So if we put this normal into normal, let me zoom a little bit, then this into the base color, and then the metalness, we put that into metallic, and then we plug this into the output result, and we should already be able to see that this looks pretty good. This looks like a backside of a street sign. We save this, and now from this function we can create our backside materials. So we're gonna make a new material, and we're gonna call it m street sign underscore m street sign 1 underscore back. Gonna go in here, and now all we have to do is drag this function in, make break material attributes. We're gonna switch this to masked again, so we have the alpha channel. Put the result in here, base color into base color, metallic into metallic, normal into normal, and the opacity mask into opacity mask. Then we only need one more thing, and that is a texture sample. Oh yeah, no, since we're doing the backside 1, so the backside for all the circular signs, we're just gonna drag this sign in here because it's also circular, attach the alpha to the input, and you will have a masked backside. Yeah, just like that. Save this, close it, and then once we have that saved, we can copy this, rename it to street sign 2 underscore back. Now we can go in here, and all we have to do is change this texture. So our second shape, everything that has 2 in it, is the square shape. So I'm gonna take this texture, and as we can see, it's perfectly masked. Save again. Now you do the same for the last shape, which is a triangular shape. Alright, so now we have a backside for every different shape. Now, if we go into our blueprint, we have our texture here for the front, and then in the back we're just gonna look for back, and this is 1, so we choose 1 back, and it's gonna fit perfectly. Hit compile, it all works. Now you can drag this in, and let's say now you want to change the sign that is displayed. So you can go into here you have the single components of the blueprint, and you can change the material right here. So let's say we want to use this sign. Boom, no problem, it has the same shape. However, if we want to use this sign, which is a square shape, this doesn't match, but that's no problem. We can just go to plane 1, and we're gonna look for street sign 2 back, and it's gonna match perfectly. Yeah, so that's it. Okay, so in order to illustrate the huge benefits of using material functions in this case, I just put these three different street signs next to each other, and we're gonna open our material function for the street signs. And let's say we want, I don't know, so let's say we want to use a different texture for metallic and roughness. What we can do is we can just go into here, our material function, and choose a different texture. For example, let's choose the metalness texture, and we see it looks very different. Now we can go very close. Now if we hit save, it's gonna save the material, and as we can see, it's preparing some shaders. Yeah, we'll let it prepare a little bit, but you can already see that the changes I did automatically apply to all the different street sign materials. And the same you can also do with the back. So if you don't like the back texture, you can just go into the material function for the back texture and change the back texture. Yeah, but I'm gonna change this back to the roughness texture because I think it works a lot better. Save again. Yeah, this just looks a lot better if you ask me. And yeah, that's basically the concept of street signs and how to make them very efficient and reusable. So that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. And if you did, feel free to let me know by subscribing to the channel or liking the video or sending this to someone who also wants to make very nice street signs. So I'm gonna give you a little sneak peek for the next video. I'm not gonna tell you which topic I'm covering, but I'm just gonna say this. If you know this sign, then you know what I'm gonna be covering next. And if you don't want to miss out on my next video, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.